All right, thanks everybody for logging on. We're going to make this quick and to the point. The purpose is to see what the functioning parts of the website are for downloading and entering the financials each month. And we're also going to go over any current issues that we're having and let you know what to do about them until we fix them. And then, of course, we'll answer any of the questions you may have for those of you that have already started entering the data. We have a chat function. Um, I will put this off on my second screen so I can show you what I want to show you, and I'll be able to read any questions that you have. I may not answer it immediately. I may finish my thought first. But if you don't have microphone ability, then just type in your question and we will get to it. So we'll get started right away. This is the web page that you want to go to. It was sent out. It's members.20dsp.com. The big thing here for notes, anybody taking notes, is that it is not a www. It's not part of the World Wide Web. So when you enter in the first time to go to the website, it's just https://members.20dsp.com. That will bring you to our landing page, and over to the right, you will click on Member Login. And the member login will ask you for your username and password. Your username is typically the owner's email address. It has nothing to do with the owner's personal email address. It can't get you access anywhere. It's just the username. And the password was either created by the owner of the company or we assigned it the password of password123. Once you sign in, and it may take the first couple times you log in, it may test that you're a real human being. It may ask you to do a math problem. It may ask you to log in twice. It's just some mild security measures to make sure that you're not somebody trying to do mean things to the website. So once you log in by clicking on Member Login, you'll come down to Accounting Entry, and you'll see these tabs. Dashboard, single store entry, combined store entry, log manager, store manager, and group average. The dashboard is not functional just yet. We're working on that. That's a nice to have thing. We wanted to make sure that the critical functional components of the website were ready to go for January's data. So those tabs that are fully functional right now are single store entry, combined store, log manager, and store manager. If you've never been on the site yet, we have uploaded all of your 2017 data. And if you have a single store or multiple stores, we named them Store 1, Store 2, Store 3, and Store 4. If you click on Store Manager under your name, you will see the names of the stores on here. And if you want to change the name of your store, then you come over here to edit the store, and you click on that, and you can edit this to whatever you want. I will change it to Store 1. I go down and I hit Submit Edit, and that will change the options from what I had before to Store 1 and Store 2. So you'll see those options have changed, Store 1 and Store 2. The Log Manager is the tab that stores all of the saved information. What we're finding out, one of the common new errors, the mistakes being made, are people are putting some data in and they're either hitting the enter button or they're hitting the submit button too early. If you hit the submit button and you've only put in a couple of points of information, once you hit submit or hit enter, it moves the data to the log manager over here. you will have to open up the month to finish entering in the data. So if your information seems to have disappeared while you were entering it, it's over here in Log Manager. The system does not like having two January 2018s. So if you happen to hit submit too early and then you restart January 2018, you go to submit it, it won't let you do it. That's because January 2018 already exists. It doesn't want you, you can't have two of the same month. So anytime something seems weird or something has disappeared or something's wrong, or you need to fix something, maybe you put in too many tires for the month, you can just go in here and you can go over to this spot over here. It says click to edit, and you can edit any of the data points in the profit and loss statement for any of the month that are already in existence. Combined store entry doesn't affect a lot of people. It's for the members that want to enter in the total company financials in one lump sum, and then let our system produce an average of each store. So the functioning is the same, except the person would enter in the number of stores that they wish to divide the total amount by, and then our system will do the division for them. There aren't too many members that use this function, so unless I see any specific questions come up in chat, I will move on to the one where most people are affected by. So in single store entry, that's when you are entering either your only store that you report to DSP or the multiple stores that you report to DSP. This will be the most used function for a couple of months. It's where you're going to enter your data. You see here, the first thing you would enter is the year you are entering, and then the month you are entering. You would choose those two, and then, of course, please select store as the third choice, and you would choose which store you are going to enter data for, store 1 or store 2. This green section here, I'm going to come back to and talk about last, but this is for uploading the information as opposed to entering it. So we'll come back to this section in a little bit. So down below, you'll see now we have tabs on the left-hand side. From general information, that's non-dollar amount information. And then we have P&L, from sales, cost of goods, gross profit, payroll, expenses, and profit and loss. And then we also have balance sheet, tabs, assets, liabilities, equity. And last, we have a notes section. The notes section is just there for the person entering the data. If you have something that you would like to remember, something you could go back to that month and see why the numbers are the way they are, this was a request by members to have this section here so that they could go back and check things out. That's essentially all the different tabs that we have. If you're taking notes, big thing to remember, submit only once. Submit only once. What we're seeing is people are putting in the general store count and store employee count, and then they're hitting submit. Then they go to sales, and then they go to hit submit again, and it says cannot do it, January is already submitted. Well, once you hit submit, it moves over to the log manager. So only hit submit when all of the information is put into the system. So general store count, the number of bays that you have, car count for the month, alignment count, this is new. We haven't counted alignments before in the past. We'd like to start doing so. We feel that can provide some significant feedback and information to all of our members. Number of invoices. Number of invoices is different than car count. Car count is the number of invoices that are attached to a vehicle that comes inside the building. Number of invoices are all of the invoices for the month. All the drop-off flat repairs, all the loose wheelbarrow repairs, all the different things that maybe a ticket gets written up for. Tire count is tire count. An inspection count is every courtesy check and vehicle inspection that you do. It does not include state inspections. That is not something we're tracking because that's very state specific, and it doesn't help the overall data field for the members. Store employee count is pretty straightforward. How many store managers work there? Professional service advisors, this used to be called Counter. We changed the name to service advisors. Outside sales service managers. Mechanical service and general service. Mechanical service are technicians who have a certification or a specific number of years in order to do repairs on a vehicle. This is considered a high-skilled position. If you're in the shop, it would be considered an A-Tech or a B-Tech or a high C-Tech. General service is considered new to the business. Instead of taking a couple years to learn how to work on something, general service generally takes just a couple of days to learn how to do it. So this would be your lube technician, your light maintenance, flushes, air filters, wiper blades, and also your tire repair and tire replacement. That is what's considered general service. Owners, bookkeepers, part-time, and office staff are fairly self-explanatory. And I'll pass on explaining that unless I see something come up in chat. So once we fill all this information out, we do not hit submit. That's just there if we were in this section and we were done. What we do is we go over to sales. The sales section of the system is very, very similar to the old way of doing things. You simply type in whatever sales occurred in that category. Passenger, light truck, retread, medium truck, used. We don't recommend selling used tires, but we know it exists in the industry. So the category is there. Sales tire storage, primarily for Canadian members. It's a very profitable section of their sales business, storing winter tires, and while the winter tires are on the road, the other set of tires the customer owns. Labor, if your system is capable of breaking out the labor into these different categories, we would like you to start itemizing the different labor amounts. If your system is not capable of that, then simply putting everything into mechanical and tire labor is perfectly acceptable. The section here, sales labor maintenance, if you're taking notes, sales labor maintenance includes oil change labor, just the labor. And if you can't break it out, if all your labor is $1 amount, then putting it all in mechanical is just fine. For parts, 99% of you, probably everyone here, is going to put all their parts sales dollars into automotive. Heavy duty would be for tractor trailers and big rigs. In other sales, we have road hazard, otherwise known as tire protection. Any wheels, any warranty work that you sell through a warranty company. Shop supplies, all shop supplies sold to customers should be recorded in this category. Tire disposal, miscellaneous. Miscellaneous is anything we don't cover in any of these other categories. Miscellaneous should be a relatively small portion of your sales general ledger. The last two, sales oil and lube. If you're taking notes, sales oil and lube are the filter and the oil only if your system separates everything out. That's what we would want in this section, the filter and the oil only. Sales discounts allowed. This brings us to the first problem we've experienced rolling out the new system. Right now, we are unable to record a negative dollar amount. I don't know why that happened. I can't get a straight answer from the coders and the programmers, but for some reason they made it so only positive dollar amounts can be entered. So we're having an issue with this category right now. Sales discounts allowed. What goes in there under normal conditions? The tire, labor, and parts. We enter those information from a systems standpoint. In other words, we want to measure that our system is properly pricing out our stuff. If a human being changes the system, in other words, a salesperson discounts a product or changes the price for whatever reason, whether it's authorized or unauthorized, we want that to be tracked here, because what we want to do when we get sales, cost of goods, and gross profit, we first want to check to make sure that our system is doing things properly. And then we'll also have an ability to measure what deviation from that system is. If we just blend discounts into tires, labor, and parts, we can't really measure how effectively we're running our business. It's hidden. So that's what goes in sales discounts allowed. Once you have all your sales dollars plugged into all the different categories, this area, total sales, will have a number in it. It should be the amount that you show on your documents. Again, we do not hit submit entry. We go up and we fill in now our cost of goods. Cost of goods is exactly as it was before. It's a mirror image of the categories of sales. And we simply enter in the cost of the items that we sold to the customer. First section is all tires. The only addition to cost of goods that you'll see that is not in sales are two: cost of goods tires rebate and parts cost of good rebate. We would like to start tracking the rebate amounts that members are collecting from the different tire manufacturers and the different distributors. Our request is that the members smooth out the rebates. So if last year you got a total of $12,000 in rebates, we would ask that you put in $1,000 a month in rebates. And when you get to, let's say, December, and you get your check for $12,000, maybe it just happens to be $11,500. Well, for December, you'd simply enter in the difference, $1,000 with the shortfall, so we'd enter in $500 here. Rebates should be smoothed out over the course of the whole year. Our labor should carry no costs of goods at all unless it was subbed out to a shop and we had an invoice to pay for labor. So maybe you paid for a bearing to get pressed, or you paid for a engine head to get resurfaced. And occasionally there's going to be a reason why you get a mechanical invoice to be done somewhere else. But generally speaking, labor should not have any costs of goods associated with it. Parts, you put in the cost of all your parts automotive, all your parts heavy duty. And again, parts rebates, any rebate you get for cash back, paying on time, volume discounts, any agreement you may have signed with a parts distributor, any rebate you get, we'd like to see that collected here so we can start to, in the meetings, talk about who's getting a better deal and how we can start to leverage some other members to either get better at rebates or be able to show people why their rebates are better. In the other category, cost of goods to road hazard, this is sort of when you get a claim. Customer buys a tire with the road hazard protection. 2 months later, they blow it out. They come back. They get themselves a free tire. You would record the cost of that tire here. And, of course, it has a zero sale. So that would help lower your gross profit because you have to eat that tire. Cost of goods shop supplies very rarely should be used. Shop supplies should be 100% gross profit. So we record the sale of shop supplies in sales and any shop supplies that we buy should be in shop supply expense. There are certain occasions where cost of goods, shop supplies, you buy something very specific for one customer's car, and you're going to charge them under the shop supplies category. But generally speaking, this should be blank. Tire disposal, miscellaneous, cost of goods, oil and lube. Issue number 2. We have found out that our cost of goods, oil and lube is not calculating properly. Please continue to enter in the data as you have it. And I have been promised that this will be fixed by the next month. It's one of their top priorities. So that's our total cost of goods. If I entered data in here, I would see that my total cost will be represented down here. I do not hit submit yet because I still have quite a bit to enter. Gross profit, if you're taking notes, gross profit will be calculated automatically. What I would like everyone to do is to just spot check a couple numbers when you're doing this, just to make sure. I haven't heard any issues other than oil and lube, but it doesn't hurt to spot check it. This will be filled out automatically. And that takes us into expenses. Payroll expense operates nearly identically as it did prior to the new system. We're looking for gross pay for every category. We do have the name changes. Counter has been changed to professional service advisors. We've changed the technicians to mechanical service and general service. And you even have the little help buttons here, the question marks in the black circle, that if anybody needs a reminder as to what goes in here, that's what goes in there. So that's payroll. And payroll taxes, for the Americans, it's your portion of Social Security and Medicare. It's generally half of the requirement of what you pay the government because you collect half from the employees. And the Canadians pay a similar amount. In expenses, the expenses are generally the same. Some have been combined. Some have been expanded. We broke out advertising into traditional and digital. We are having a problem with digital. It's not accepting a dollar amount. That should be fixed by February's data entry. So for the time being, we can just put it into traditional. All of the other categories are generally the same. It's just get used to it maybe being in a slightly different order. Cash over short, this the whole thing is not accepting negatives. So if you are over in your cash drawer, you would put in a negative expense. That's what being over in cash is. It won't accept it. Hopefully, we're not talking about anything more than a couple of bucks. If every month you're more than $10 or $20 over or short, you got a bigger problem that needs to be investigated. But we'll have that fixed come February. Computer maintenance fees and dues, pretty self-explanatory. Credit card fees, damage claims, dues and subscriptions, employee benefits, the little helper button there. These are the 401k, the FSA, all the different perks for employees. Laundry and uniforms has been combined. Medical is generally drug and physical for new employees. It's not the medical insurance that would come under employee benefits that you provide. Shop supplies expense. Anytime you buy bulk shop supplies, it should go into expenses. And generally speaking, the rest of the expenses are the same as before. We have broken out cell phones under utilities. That was a big one that was requested by members. They want to see sort of what everyone's plans are being charged. Once you enter in all the expenses, you'll be able to go to the final line. If I had entered in any data, this would tell me what my profit and loss is, so I'd want to double check that. If everything seems correct and I am not going to enter in any balance sheet information, because I only enter that in when it's requested. I would now hit submit entry. If something is off, I can go back through any category and I can go see where it's off, make the change, and then I can simply scroll down to any page and hit submit entry. That's how to fill it out online in the system. How to fill it out when you want to use your own template. That's this green section here. If you were to download and click this button, you would download onto your computer this file. And this file you would want to immediately save and name it whatever you want to name your store. You want to name your company, whatever you want to call it, and save it somewhere where you're going to remember it. Usually the desktop, maybe a folder, 20 group or something. And this file, every month, you can simply go in and plug in your numbers. The nice part about this is you can plug the numbers in and you can save it at any point and come back to it whenever you want. If you would like to speed up significantly entering your data, you can create a sheet 2 and take your accountant's digital or electronic P&L, paste it to this document, and then wherever the numbers are, you can then say, okay, tire sales, performance tires, and mass market tires. These 3 are all my passenger tire sales. So I would go to this form and I'd plug in. This is where all my tire passenger data goes. So I would plug in equal sign and I would go to the tab and I'd click on each and hit a plus button, click on the cell and hit enter. Now what happens is from now on, whatever's in these 3 cells will always show up in this cell. So next month, when I take my accountant's P&L digital file and I paste it onto this sheet, all of it shows up automatically and you don't have to enter in every line. Now, I will say your accountant's sheet has to be in the same format every month, but that's a conversation you're going to have with them. Same thing with QuickBooks. You'll have to talk with them about making sure that you get a file where the tire sales show up on the same line every month and the payroll shows up on the same line every month. But if you spend a little bit of time working with them, you can shorten your data entry every month to just about 5 minutes. And 4 of those minutes is double checking the numbers. Once I have this file and it's got all the data filled out, if you're taking notes, you don't have to fill in GP because the GP will be automatically calculated. But once I fill in everything I need, I go and I choose my file wherever I saved it. My recommendation for saving files is putting your group number, then your member number, and then the month and the year. If you have multiple stores, you could save it with a 0.1 or a 0.2 if it's your second store. If you have 3 stores, you can do 3, or you can do the name like Bay Avenue. But come up with some system that you always repeat. That way, when you go to save it the next month, you know, you just change the one number and now it's April's data. But once I find the file that I want to upload, I click open. You'll see that it shows up here. This is my member number. This is my month, my year. I can match month, and I would put it into 17, and then I would upload. Once I hit upload, I'm done. The file is put into the system. I can look on Log Manager. And I see that March 2017 has been uploaded. So I know that my data is there. If for some reason I come across a problem, I can then go over to edit, and I can go in and I can change whatever I need to change. Those are the basic functions of what's live right now. Our reporting for group average and dashboard is going to take us a little longer to roll out. I know that's kind of a lot of information in a short period of time, but I have about 2 minutes to take on any questions, if anybody has any questions to ask.
I've got one, Dennis. Ed King.
Yep, go ahead.
They're all rebates. So you mentioned paying on time. So your 2 or 2.5%, 3%, whatever it is, discount for paying on time is included in that. And I understand. And what about credit card rebates? People pay with credit card and get a rebate for that. Would you bother including that in there?
Do you get a rebate for them using a credit card?
Well, it goes on the company credit card, which there's definitely a financial gain there.
Yeah, but if they use a credit card where they get points or something, that's not going to show up on your. Yeah, that's going to be actually a charge to you.
No, the other way around. I used my rebate to my credit card to pay the mechanical parts bill.
Oh no, that's personal. That stays on you.
Okay, it's considerable.
Yeah, but it's not part of the. If you're making it part of the official company's profitability, then that to me that would be an offset of an expense.
Okay. Well, yes, and I guess that wouldn't make sense anyway, because why would you be in business if you can't get a little extra?
Right. So that stays on your end.
You answered my question. Okay, thanks.
Yep. Does anybody else have any questions?
Can you hear me?
I can. And if we happen to get disconnected, just go back to the link and hit the link again, and